Middle-aged Americans, which is the ages between 40 and 50, that is Generation X, is in for a silver squatting. And what that means is that there's very likelihood that they're going to rely on family to help them with housing and some other expenses in their retirement, yet they haven't said anything to the family about it. What does that mean for you? One of the reports that I was reading says this. Members of Generation X currently in their 40s and 50s are finding themselves critically underprepared for retirement, and they're counting on financial and housing support from their families, according to Prudential Financials Inc. 2024 Pulse of the American Retiree Survey. And you know what that means? That means that there's a spark in the rise for what is called silver squatters, and that could be a crisis that is brewing that we need to be aware of. The report said that just a decade until retirement eligible, the 55-year-olds, a lot of them have saved under $50,000. That is nothing to help them get through maybe a year or two of their retirement years. And that is a crisis that is waiting to happen. So Gen X's are the first generation that does not have the support of the retirement pensions that were called defined benefit, which is where the companies actually put money aside for them for the number of years that they worked and said, okay, after 20 to 25 years, you're going to have a guaranteed pension that is coming to you, which is what's called a three-legged stool. So the first leg of the stool is going to be Social Security, the second one is your savings, and then the third one was going to be, in the 70s and 80s, is the Earned Defined Benefit Income Pension, which is what some of the boomers that are enjoying it right now, and they're able to have a well-cushioned retirement because they have three sources of income. Well, Generation X is not going to have that. This is where they're going to have to figure out, and it's pretty much a survival mode at this point, because they're not going to have the cushion of that pension. What happened was that the 401k plans came into play. This is what happened. And when you have a choice of saving for something that is not going to happen for 20, 30 years, you know what the mentality is and the psychology and kind of the direction your brain is going into. And they say, you know what? I have to pay things off now. I have a mortgage to pay. I'm just not going to save, because you were given a choice. And here's where the situation is heading into now in the crisis mode. There's also longevity crisis that I have been talking about in a few of my videos that people are really not thinking about. If you're thinking that you're only going to live until about 75 and 80, you are very much mistaken. Because of the advances in technology as well as in medical fields, there's a very, very good chance that you're going to be living well into your 90s, which means that you now have to extend the savings that for your retirement for an additional 10, 15 or so years, and many retirees, many generations that are coming up are just not prepared. Nearly a quarter of 55-year-olds expect to need financial support from family in retirement, and that is twice as many as the current 65 to 75-year-olds because of this savings crisis. 1 in 5, which is about 21%, are going to need support with housing as well. However, this need for the support among the 55-year-olds is, majority of it is silent, because they haven't really broached this conversation with their families. So the families have no idea what is coming for them. And this is where what we are starting to see in the housing market is the rise of multi-generational housing. Because there is a need, and usually what happens when there's always a pleasure or there is always pain, and typically we as humans try to work on getting away from pain, and this is what we're talking about in these circumstances. Inflation, higher living costs, rising homeownership expenses is really the demise of the pension plans that I already mentioned to you earlier, is what is causing and hampering households' ability to financially prepare for their retirement. Nearly 20% of Generation X, which is in their 40s and 50s, are now going in the direction of buying a multi-general homes. And depending on the area that you are, it could mean a few different things. It could be a multi-family home like a duplex or even a triplex. It could be a home that has certain levels where maybe a basement or first level can be transformed, or maybe it's an ADA unit, which is it could be a garage or another building that is in the backyard that can be converted into like an in-law house or even in-law suite. Also, Generation X is finding themselves to be what's called a sandwich generation. We are still caring for our kids. Maybe they're still home or they're now in college. And also we are starting to care for our aging parents. So we are torn between doing something for our kids and also running around and helping our parents as well. About 30% within the sandwich generation are saying that caregiving responsibilities have prevented them from buying a home, or for those who own one, it has prevented them from paying off a mortgage, which is a big goal when you are heading in the direction of retirement. You don't really want to bring any debt with you unless it's absolutely necessary. For others, caregiving situation can actually improve their financial situation. Of course, as you can imagine, affordability is a big issue pretty much anywhere in the country right now, with still rising housing prices and not having enough inventory because of a majority of the homeowners having low mortgage interest rates. So this is where an opportunity to be in a multi-housing generation situation, living arrangements may be a good idea. And here are a few things for you to consider. Everyone is going to be sharing expenses. If you think about it, it could be helping and pooling resources to pay for your mortgage, for your property taxes, for all of your utilities. Built-in childcare. The grandparents can help with caring for kids, which is also going to help you and save on child care costs. And it's also easier to care for your aging parents if they're close by. If you have to run over and do something for them, you don't have to run far away because they are close by, right here in the same home. And it's also a good idea to spend some time together. A lot of the times grandkids can benefit from having great conversations with their grandparents, so that way they have some lasting memories. And of course, if you think about it, the multi-generational trend is going to vary on depending where you live. In some parts of the country, having multifamily homes is something that is common in the area, yet in other parts of the country it's not. And this is where people can get creative. They can convert a basement level, if there was a walkout basement, maybe create a separate entrance, or potentially purchasing a larger home, because now you're pulling those resources together and you have the ability to convert your dining room, living room, and family room that not everybody is using into actual living arrangements on the first floor for convenience. And also, as we know, multi-generational housing and living situation is more prevalent in certain cultures where it is a given that one of the kids takes on responsibility of the parents, moving in together with them to help and care for them because of the cultural beliefs and standards. So, is caring for your parents a concern for you? How are you doing today? How are you making out, and what are some of the solutions for your current situation? Can this housing situation be a good solution for you if you are looking for some of those options? Please put your comments and let's discuss below and see how we can help you plan for a successful and fulfilling retirement.